Yeah. Yeah. Come and never sleep on me. Eyes on my chain 숙여 너의 고개를 what you looking at fool 너의 눈 허리 멍청했고 find your comfort from another yeah. I go low like undercover yeah. Wanna know my name 죽지 않은 일은 위에 부어버려 기름 gas.
What's up, everybody? So it's your boy Jonathan Lana back with two guys. Mr. Flat, introduce yourself to everyone.
It's me, Colton Flat, and our friend
Caleb Mabry.
Good
And
to see you again, Caleb.
Thank you. Good to see y'all.
and you know, when you take all three of us and put us together, we turn into for your ears only, a Bondcast. So today we're getting to Thunderball. So question is, will Thunderball ride the train of highs that was Goldfinger, or will it go to the bottom of the sea? Well, it does that literally, but let's talk about maybe does it do it figuratively too? That's what we're going to talk about today. So before we get started, if you're listening to this right now and you're on YouTube, I want you to scroll down. There's a little button that says subscribe. Go ahead and hit that button, all right? Be doing me and my boys a favor, all right? And if you're on iTunes or whatever else, be sure to like us and give us a good rating and all that good stuff. Comment, leave us something. Anyway, go ahead and get started. And I'm just gonna leave this. I'm just gonna put an open-ended question out, and I promise I'll let somebody else get the floor. Okay. So Thunderball, what's your initial thoughts before we get into the nitty-gritty of the movie? I don't care who goes first.
Let's hear Colton's take.
So, I don't want to say I did not like this film.
Get out of here. Go on. No negativity, guy. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't want to say it's a bad film, and I wouldn't say that. But there are parts about this movie I did not enjoy. As much as I like Connery, like there were some parts in here where he was really, really good. But man, like I found in certain parts, it just really, really drug on for me. And it's probably because I was coming off that high from Goldfinger, like you guys suggested earlier. Like, man, the first part of this movie for me felt like maybe it was like a little tiny continuation of Goldfinger. And then just it felt like Bond went on vacation and we went with him. A lot of it did not do it for me. And I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm just saying like I don't think it came up to that bar that it needed to. Just for me.
Goldfinger set the bar pretty high. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And with this being the return of Terrence Young, Jonathan brought this up before we started recording. You can definitely see his fingerprints on it from the get-go. Of course, you got the jump cuts and the fight scene, which were obvious right off the bat. I was like, oh man,
Yeah,
yeah. But before we get too far ahead, let's talk about the gun barrel. Sean Connery's first gun barrel. What did you think of that, Colton?
Man, when I saw that scene, I was like, that kind of looks like Sean Connery. So like, I had to pause the movie and Google it. And I was like, well, look, it's not Bob Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I found that out, I was like, okay, it's not Bob Simmons. I guess it's Sean Connery.
Well, yeah,
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, Bob wouldn't come out of the dress, so they were like,
he should have done the gun barrel sequence in the dress.
Yeah, like I think I read somewhere that I think that whenever they filmed the gun barrel, I don't know, maybe it was something to do with the film that they started using in this movie was so good that if they left Bob Simmons in it, people would be able to see that it was not Sean Connery, so that's why they recorded another one.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard
that makes a lot of sense.
Before we get too far,
well,
sorry. Keep what you were fixing to say. Keep it in mind. Jonathan asked. Well, Jonathan asked for our initial thoughts, and I didn't want to get too far off the main course. So I want to say that um I don't know if this movie just caught me in the right mood or what, but I enjoyed it. Like and also I went into it with really low expectations because I remember not liking it very much as a younger man. But yeah, just initially, at face value, I think I would give this like an 8 out of 10.
Oh, I agree with you there. I'm gonna have to be honest with you. Like I told you about, well, told everyone about last time we were on Goldfinger, how it had a special place because it was one of them that I had whenever I was young. So Thunderball actually has a special place too. But the thing is, it's the exact opposite of Goldfinger. I never had Thunderball whenever I was growing up. Like the only time I would ever get to watch it is when they would have like a marathon of Bond movies on TV. Like
Mm.
Thanksgiving or Christmas, they would have like this marathon, and I would watch it. But for some reason, whenever I was a kid, up until I was probably like 18 or 19 when I finally bought the Blu-ray collection.
Mm.
I never had Thunderball like on VHS or DVD or anything.
I remember there being a stack of Bond movies on top of my PlayStation 2 as a kid, and the DVDs, and Thunderball always stayed in the box set. It was, yeah.
So
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say maybe I just didn't give it a fair shake as a kid.
Um, I do like it.
Hmm?
And I would say a 7 or 8 would be a good score for Thunderball. I've heard some people say it's the best Bond movie. I do not agree with that at all. But I do think it's good. I think it's fun. Um, literally, if somebody asked me what my favorite 5 Bond movies were, I could literally put Connery's first 5, and it would work for me because I
Yeah.
think they're all great. But I do have some notes about Thunderball that we're going to discuss later on in the movie. I do think Thunderball might be when Sean Connery, even though he looks great, I think he
He
looks
does.
great in every scene he's in. I think it might be where he starts getting a little bit bored with the role. Like there's just some scenes in the movie to me it looks like he just does not care where he's at,
You
which
can
is wild.
definitely read that on his face in
Yeah.
certain scenes.
Which is wild because most of the movie he's in some of the most beautiful places in the world with some of the most beautiful women in
He
the
just looks
world,
checked out.
and he just looks like he just doesn't care. Like it's amazing to me. But anyway, like uh, building on what we were talking about with the gun barrel, we get our pre-title sequence. So, what do y'all think about it?
Um, I thought it was fine. Uh, the fight scene, which we've already touched on, was a little choppy, but
Yeah, and
it
I love how this is where Austin Powers gets. When he says when he hits a woman, and he's like, "It's a man, baby." This is where that come from. Is that?
yeah. Uh, but all in all, the pre-title sequence is uh, of all the pre-title sequences, this was, it ranks up with some of the best,
Yeah,
I would say. I really want to know how the jetpack got there.
yeah. So here's my theory: Bond must have drove up, got out, put jetpack on, flew up
Yeah.
to the place, like got off, went inside, did his business, come back outside. Like,
Hmm.
it is kind of it's a stretch, you know.
So you guys are sorry if I interrupt, John,
Oh, you're good.
but you guys are probably gonna hate me for this. But honestly, the pre-title sequence is probably my favorite part of the whole film. Like,
That's fine.
like it
Fine with
really
me.
felt like I know there's jump cuts and the fight was pretty choppy, but like honestly, like this felt like if this had been tacked on to the end of Goldfinger, I'd have been like, okay, I'm in for the next Bond film. Like
Hmm.
if this had been like a teaser trailer at the end or whatever for like a Marvel movie, like I would have been down. Like because like the whole him at the funeral or whatever, it's kind of smart him noticing that he opened his own door. Like that's really intelligent.
That was a
But then
nice
like
touch. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I think so too. And then like you see him go to what was his name again? I remember his initials were JB. It was
Jack Bavard.
Yeah.
yeah,
hmm
Jack Beauvoir. It goes to his mansion, and I was not expecting, like, I guess whether it be context clues or what, I was not expecting like it to be a man until he hit him in the face, and probably because I'd
Well,
never seen this film.
Sean didn't know it was a man either. He just liked to hit women.
Yes.
Fair enough. That makes a lot of sense.
They just happened to catch it on camera. They're like, this works.
Works great. My favorite part of the movie. But like, so the whole sequence happens, and like, regardless of how it looks or whatever, but like when he fights dude, when he fights Bob Simmons, I think it's a really good part of the movie. And then when he goes and puts the jetpack on, it looks a little rough because of the rear projection behind him. But like, I thought it was awesome when he went and landed in his car. I noticed immediately whenever he put that jetpack in the trunk that the trunk did not close at all. Like,
It didn't. Oh
no,
yeah,
it
yeah. The
didn't fit.
jetpack would be way too big. I don't know
Yeah,
why. I don't know why I didn't look for that.
yeah. Like if you'll notice, he'll hop in the car and the trunk is like you could tell it does not close at all. And then like it cuts to the scene where he raises like
The shield.
the shield and
Yeah.
like the trunk's closed after that. So like it's one of those cuts where they fix it. But like I don't know. I just really, really enjoyed that whole sequence. I do have a question. What the hell did he spray out of the back of the car?
Hey,
Look
Because the
like
it's a
guys,
water.
it's a water cannon. But like
okay,
that's what I was gonna say, Colton. I'm glad you brought it up. What like why don't the dumbasses move out of the way? Like I mean, like
Yeah.
like
I don't know, man.
like
That
why is water being used as a weapon here?
realistically, it would have went like that's inconvenient. Bang,
Yeah.
bang, bang, bang.
Like I always thought it was so dumb, but I'm gonna have to echo both of your sentiments about it. I love the Thunderball title sequence. I mean, a pre-title sequence. I think it's great.
Mhm.
Um, and I will tell you one thing that I really like. And Colton, I know that you've already voiced your concern on this, how you did not like it, but I love the score of this movie. I do. It's one of my favorite Bond scores ever. And I love the fight scene score. Whatever that song is called, I think it is great.
The
Like,
007 theme, is that what you're referring to?
no, it's I think it's called Bond's Back in Action or something like that.
Okay.
I don't or Vilified or something like that. But I
We
know the
didn't
007 theme. I know
yeah,
it. I know what you're talking about.
okay. We didn't get the 007 theme in Goldfinger, did we?
We
That I
didn't. We
remember.
did him from Russia with
Eh,
Love and then Thunderball.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say I think it was introduced in From Russia with Love. I really wish they would have kind of kept that,
I do too.
or maybe bring it back in a future Bond movie with just like a updated rendition.
Yeah, I was honestly hoping that at some point in the Craig era we would get like an updated version of it, kind of like the way Mission Impossible redid the Mission Impossible theme.
Yeah,
I
or
was
at
I
least
was
a
hoping that
nod to it, like
yeah, but we never
just
did.
have some little cue in another track,
Yeah,
kind of like they did in No Time to Die, where we get to hear a little bit of On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
yeah.
Yeah, we're getting way off in the weeds here, but yeah, I like the 007 theme. I wish they would have kept it around.
And I want to say something else about the jetpack. So whenever I was a kid, I thought the jetpack was like one of the coolest things ever. And
Mm,
like I always like associated the jetpack with James Bond. And honest to God, Bond only uses it for like what 30 seconds. And
mm,
other than it coming up in a few video games and in Die Another Day, whenever Bond's going through the Q lab, that's
mm.
really all the jetpack we get in the whole series. But I always liked it. I always thought it was one of the cooler things.
I thought it was cool, other than just the way it looked
I
at
watched
our
a
time. So
I watched a History Channel thing, and they were talking about how the jetpack you could only use it for like just a few seconds, and then it would like it'd be out of fuel or whatever. The real
Not
life version,
very practical.
yeah, not practical at all. But
Uh, um, I want to read here. This is off of IMDb before we get off the jetpack subject. Bond's jetpack was actually flown by engineer Bill Suter. he was one of only 2 people in the world qualified to fly it. So if people don't realize that was a real jetpack,
Yeah.
that was a real deal
Like, yeah, it
jetpack.
was legit. Like,
Otherwise, Bond wouldn't have put on a helmet. uh, so I thought that was an interesting note to hit.
And it's pretty cool they used practical effect like that. I would have never known, other than like the fact that you can tell like that Sean Connery's not doing anything other than standing in front of a screen.
Mm. Yep, that was
um,
a real deal jetpack.
That's really cool. It makes the
Mhm.
whole title sequence even better for me. It was already my favorite part. Now you just made it cooler.
Yeah.
so we get the water cannons, and that leads us into our pre-title sequence, and we hear the Tom Jones song Thunderball. And we talked about Shirley Bassey last time, how she did the Goldfinger song. She actually had did a song for this movie too called Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And Thunderball by Tom Jones won out because I think they said that they wanted the title of the movie to be in the song or the name of the song or whatever. But
Mhm.
I think Tom Jones does a great job, and I'm by no means a Tom Jones fan, really. Like, but it's one of my favorite title themes.
Yeah, mine too. I really like it, especially maybe it was because I was a kid when I last watched it, but so it didn't stick out as
Yeah.
much. Maybe I'm able to appreciate it more now. I really enjoyed it. Not quite as iconic as Goldfinger, maybe. Uh, but still, very, very good song.
I thought it was
Colton, what do you
great.
think? You liked
I
it?
thought it was, yeah, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. That's
Good.
why I was so startled later in the film when I didn't like the score. I was like, this whole movie's pretty well. This movie's meshing for me pretty good until you get to like the big fight and how just bombastic that score is during that fight. I'm like, I
Taylor, what he's
want
talking about is the 007 theme. He's
Yep,
referring to that.
yep. I picked up on that.
oh, uh,
I'm sorry I interrupt you,
oh,
Colton. So,
you're fine. Is that called the 007 theme for this movie?
yes. Well, it's just in general, that's called the 007 theme.
Mm.
Like you
Like,
have the James Bond theme, which was in Doctor No,
okay,
and a bunch of other movies. Then you got the 007 theme, which started in From Russia with Love, and it's in a few movies.
well, man, for some reason that just did not do it. I think it's just because it was just so loud. I don't know. It, you know how like in crazy old movies, like if something's happening at a circus, they've just got like this absolutely ridiculous music while like
Yes, I
somebody on
understand.
a unicycle's chasing somebody else around. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of like what it
The
was
the
for me.
the Benny Hill theme?
I don't know. If I can find like a snippet of what I'm talking about, I might just go back and watch the movie and record it and send it to you later. Like it was when there were like 30 dudes underwater fighting 30 other dudes underwater, and the score just like it kept cycling like the same loop of the song, and I'm just
That's
like,
the 007. Yeah, that's the 007 theme.
I'm sorry guys, I'm
Oh,
probably
it's
gonna get
all
shot.
good.
What do
Don't
you?
apologize,
Yeah,
buddy.
what are you apologizing for?
You
Well,
good?
just like it seems like Jonathan definitely likes it, and you
Oh,
probably like it too.
well, it's a nostalgia thing for me, man. I mean, as I was saying it earlier, when I was like, oh, they should do like an updated rendition and play it in a future Bond movie. But it's the arrangement. Just maybe it's the arrangement is just kind of outdated. Like
Oh, yeah,
I
it's
don't,
outdated.
yeah, I don't think it would really fit in a newer Bond movie. Maybe if they just have to rearrange it some, I guess. And I don't know.
The
Well,
only way it could fit and be the same as it was then is if we were doing a period piece. Like if it was like
Yeah,
set in the 60s or the 50s, then they could play it as it was in the movie. But if they were going to bring it back, they'd have to do some significant updating. You know what I mean?
or
Like,
or maybe it just like comes on the radio and Bond just turns it off.
yeah, all right. I hear
or
you.
or let me throw this out there. You have a ridiculous underwater fight scene, and it's the only song you can play.
Sure.
But just make sure it's the end of the film and people are ready to walk out because I will.
It can be a post credit scene.
needs to
Such
be
a hater,
something.
Colton.
I'm not hating because there are parts of the theme I like. It's just that good, like you get to the meat of the song and like the fight is dragging on. And I'm just like, I wanted to
That
get up
it
and walk out of my house.
that it does. But we'll
Yeah.
touch on that when we get to it, man.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, guys.
Oh no,
That's
no.
fine.
You're good. You're good. I would rather you give. I mean, you need to give your own true feelings. Don't. I mean,
Well,
I'm not going to get my feelings hurt over a song.
well,
No,
I don't hate.
absolutely not. No, there's no aspect of this movie that you could dislike that's gonna upset me. I
Well,
get it.
well, just because I'm harking on a couple things I don't like. I liked the movie. Like I'm sure there are way worse Bond films than this. Maybe. Like
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
look, you guys just sold me on that.
Listen, we still got Roger Moore to go, man. Like,
Oh man.
Okay.
You're fixing
still
to
got
get your
Diamonds Are Forever to
yeah,
watch.
you're fixing to get your belly full of bad Bond movies.
Okay. Well, all I'm saying is like I enjoy this film. Like I think it's just because like of I feel like with Goldfinger I just had like the most banging dinner ever, and then they just brought me like some curdled dessert kind of. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying like I wasn't expecting that flavor for dessert.
I've got a better metaphor.
Okay.
It's like you got two hot pockets, you cook the first one, it's perfect, and then you bite into the second one and it's frozen in the middle. Is
Yeah.
it? Okay.
Either that or
Nothing
you just
worse.
burn the shit out of your mouth during
Yeah.
that theme. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, guys.
Little fun fact about Tom Jones' song. I always heard that the last note, whenever he was holding it out, I always heard it made him pass out whenever he was recording it.
All right.
I, yeah, I can see that.
I mean, if you listen to the song, he's giving it hell at the
Yeah.
last part.
Oh
You know,
He
yeah.
I
was.
mean,
That
uh,
kind of I don't think we talked about this about the Goldfinger theme. Um Shirley Bassey, however you pronounce her
however
last
you
name.
say it.
Yeah, she I want to say there's some text about her nearly passing out, hitting that note.
No, probably so.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm gonna have to be honest with you. The first part of Thunderball, I don't know how I feel about it, guys,
I
because
don't either.
you have pretty much we learn all of Spectre's plan. But first, before I get on to what I was just about to say, I want to talk about. Excuse me. I want to talk about the Spectre meeting place. Their base here, love it. Top
Awesome.
10. Like I love
Yeah.
everything about it. Um, like down to Blofeld, all the different Spectre agents, uh, Emilio Largo coming in. You know, I mean, I just love every bit of it, and I love how Blofeld has the screen over his face just because we still are not supposed to know what he looks like yet.
Or maybe they just don't have an actor for him yet.
It's just some dude, like.
Yeah.
But I will say this. So, and I'm not one of the people that hate on Christoph Waltz. Um, I've heard a lot of people hate on him for what he did to Blofeld. I actually thought he was fine as Blofeld. I'm gonna be honest with you. The movies never get the real Blofeld right. I don't know, Caleb. I don't know if you've read any of the Bond novels with Blofeld in it, but like Blofeld is never really put over into his true self. Like probably the closest we ever got, I would say, would be like Blofeld in On Her Majesty's Secret Service
That's
with
what I was. Yeah,
Telly
that's what I was
Savalas.
just fixing to say. I think he was the best
Yeah, but
Blofeld. And I remember real quick when I was reading the novels. Anytime Blofeld was brought up, he was like in my head. Like he was
yeah,
the canonical Blofeld.
but like in the novel Thunderball,
Hmm.
this is the first novel that we see Blofeld, and Blofeld's like, 300 pounds, like this humongous guy who used to be a bodybuilder, like a weightlifter,
Mm.
and and I guess he was like got into middle age and his body started like some of his muscle got lost and he started getting a little bit, a little bit weighty, a little bit fat. And Fleming describes Blofeld in the novels as having eyes like Benito Mussolini, who was the leader of Italy during World War II. But the movie Blofeld, I don't know, like I just feel like I don't know, but I do feel like his portrayal in Thunderball is great. I love what they do with him, and um, I mean, it's kind of like he's a mystery, even though we know it's Blofeld, but it's like he's still a mystery. We don't know what he looks like. It's we have to use our imaginations a little bit. I'm
Mm.
sorry, I'm rambling, guys.
Oh no.
I
Oh
have
no,
a
you're
lot of
good, man.
ideas about Blofeld that I've thought about so much, and I like pretty much all of his portrayals. I mean, even Charles Gray in Diamonds Are Forever. I have a soft spot for Charles Gray for Charles Gray's portrayal as him, but I just feel like maybe the ones that we don't see, maybe they're the best. Maybe the ones that you only see the little kitty being petted, maybe they are the best. I don't know. What do
I
y'all think
do,
about Spectre and Blofeld?
I do like the fact that it doesn't show him. Uh, and from the sound of you talking about him, it really seems like the books make him to be like a larger than life character, and maybe to you that's why it's so hard for them to like hone in on it. And
Yeah,
maybe that's just a thing in general. Um, but like growing up as a kid, I used to watch Inspector Gadget, so like I know like Inspector Gadget was like inspired, like the villain in that was like inspired by Blofeld. So
yes,
like whenever I just hear a villain talk and like just see his hands doing stuff, like whenever he was just petting the cat, I really enjoyed that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Like it's definitely like creepy and ominous. And like this guy's powerful. We don't even get to see his face, so it works for me. And the Spectre meeting, I thought it was good because of course I've seen later films with Spectre stuff in it, so I'm not gonna go into that. But like I thought it looked good. I thought the lair looked good. I really enjoyed the whole sequence. So
So whenever Largo comes in, he walks in and Blofeld is he's telling everyone, he says, unfortunately, we lost one of our agents, Jack Beauvoir, because the guy that Bond killed.
correct.
So this is show you how much of a nerd I am about all this. I downloaded like um, one of these scripts for the movie, like one of the rough drafts for the scripts of Thunderball. And it's actually pretty cool because at that moment in the script I read, Blofeld was talking about how Rosa Klebb got killed in the Istanbul affair, meaning From Russia with Love.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, like he's referring to a movie happened, 2 movies ago. Like,
Yeah.
hey, he was like, I regret to inform y'all that we lost Rosa Klebb. And they changed that to Jack Bavar, but I just thought it was really kind of cool.
Do you
Um,
do you think do you think they did that because Goldfinger was in the middle?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like I think what they were probably trying to do first was like make some continuity, and then they were probably like, well, these people probably went and saw Goldfinger and probably don't even remember From Russia with Love.
And also, if we're to believe that this takes place after Goldfinger, a lot of time has passed.
Yeah, that's what I
So
thought too.
yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, everybody would have known about her demise,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
um, but yeah, like so I want to go ahead and I want to talk about Largo. And what do y'all think about Largo?
I he's fine.
Yeah,
He just doesn't have any
he's no Goldfinger,
distinct
man.
he just doesn't have any distinct characteristics other
I
than
know.
the eye patch. And
You
I
know,
don't know, just
the novel Largo did not have the eye patch.
he just didn't have a lot of personality for me.
Yeah, he didn't do much. Like I mean, and I don't know if it's because we just got Goldfinger and Goldfinger was just over the top, but like Largo, he just doesn't. I mean, he's fine. He's there. I don't want to hate on him, but like he just, I don't know.
Honestly, I was more interested in Blofeld,
Yeah, I
which
mean, yeah,
I guess everybody was, but I don't know. It just Emilio just didn't really. I mean, he was menacing, but like I just didn't care. I guess I don't
yeah.
know.
He was more of like I think he was more of a cookie cutter villain. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, he just seemed to me more like a henchman, which I guess he
yeah,
was technically a henchman to Blofeld, but he just didn't really have the presence of a really threatening villain.
kind of like somebody we know that we're gonna have to beat before we get to the main boss, which is
Pretty
inevitably
much.
Blofeld. You know,
Yeah,
Colton,
that's
what
a
do you think
good way to
about it?
put it.
Uh, I don't know. He gave me like creepy uncle vibes. I didn't like. He just did just the way he looks. Like I don't think he's a very not that like he's not like I don't want to bring the man's looks into this really, but like he just gave me a whole vibe of like, hey man, take your kids inside. Like don't let this guy around your family like that. Just because he threw me off. Uh, hit his like interactions with Bond. I'm like, this guy's like, I don't know. It was weird for me. Like I feel like he was not necessarily like giving too much away to Bond, but like I know villains like underestimate Bond all the time, but like this guy, from the ones I've seen, this guy did it the most so far. If that makes any sense, I probably
Yeah,
just
oh
sound like
yeah.
I'm rambling.
I
No, no,
got
no,
you.
no. That
So
makes complete sense.
Yeah.
okay,
So back to what I was saying, the first part of this movie, I like. There's some parts I like, and then there's some parts that just feel like it's. I don't know. It like, especially when you compare it to the movie we just got done watching, Goldfinger. So like, you have after the Spectre meeting, we have Bond in Shrublands. The health clinic
Mhm.
thing that he's at.
Conveniently located next to the
Right next to an
airbase.
airbase. Which why would they put a place where people need to chill out and calm down next to a loud airbase with jets taking off? Like
The nurse actually makes a reference to that.
yeah,
She says, "Those damn airplanes."
it's like well, if y'all didn't build your health clinic right next to the RAF base, maybe this wouldn't
Well,
happen.
that begs the question, which came first?
Yeah,
Uh, but either way, you would think if
somebody messed up.
yeah, let's say the health clinic was there already, and they get word that they're fixing to build an airbase next door. You would think they'd say, "Well, let's move."
Yeah, um,
well,
but
what was the location for this again? Where this part is set?
it's England, like it's
Okay,
supposed to be in England.
okay.
So we
I,
meet
I
the
guess that makes sense
nurse,
because the RAF is like the Royal Air
Royal Air
Force.
Force.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, jumping back
you
in.
good?
Sorry, John.
You good? So we meet the nurse. Her name's Patricia Fearing, I believe is her name, and we get probably the least aged well scene of the whole franchise. Like
Man, I forgot all about that scene.
yep.
Maybe I repressed it.
We were watching it last night, my wife and and I was like, God, this really is weird to watch with a woman, because I mean,
I think that one was worse than the hay the hay scene
I
with
think it
Pussy
most
Galore
definitely is. Yeah, I think it
because
is too.
yeah, because at least in the Goldfinger scene with Pussy, there's a little bit of
Like a little
playfulness.
bit, yeah, a little bit of
Yeah,
playfulness.
there's a hint of it
Yeah,
here. She's
here it's yeah,
like she's fixing to throw a punch. It seems like.
yeah. In this scene, she's most definitely doing this so she don't lose her job. You know.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Bond blackmailed her.
Yeah, it's blackmailing. Now, I mean, I guess we're supposed to not feel bad about it because later on, she's obviously enjoying the mink glove that he's got and all that. But I mean,
I,
it really is. It
that's what
is a
I was gonna.
strange scene.
That's what I was gonna say. By the end of his visit he's won her over because we
Yeah.
see her like
That
basically
being, go ahead. I'm
begging
sorry.
for. Well, we see her like basically begging for his number before he drops off. But that doesn't make that scene any better.
Yeah, that being said, man, I wouldn't want to watch that scene with my stepdaughter. Like, it just,
No.
it was weird enough with my wife. I couldn't imagine watching that with my daughter. You know what I mean?
You
Like,
really have to try not to view these older movies through a
yeah,
modern lens because
yeah. I mean, that's what I always preach to. I mean, because if we viewed old things with our new, ways of looking at things, we probably wouldn't even watch any old any old movie to begin with. But
right.
yeah, I do think that's probably one of the most problematic things in the whole series. Um, but moving on from that, because I don't want to dwell on it too much. It is what it is. And other people have, talked about it before us. But
Oh yeah, there's a 30-minute to hour-long video discussing
yeah,
all of Bond's.
but
Go ahead, Colton.
So while it was bad, and I thought it was bad while I was watching it, the way you described a scene in Thunderball when we were talking about Goldfinger, I was like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I felt like you implied a scene was going to be. So the whole movie, I was just waiting for a super rape scene, so,
all
so
right,
Oh,
then.
did Jonathan warn you going into it?
yeah, because we had
Okay.
talked about the Pussy Galore scene in the last movie. It's like he's like, Colton, just wait till you get to Thunderball because there's another scene that's
Oh,
worse.
yeah.
So I guess you hyped it up and it fell short.
Yeah.
Like so while it's bad, I did appreciate the cinematography of it. Them going into is it a sauna or a steamy shower?
Like I don't know, was it a steam bath, something like that? I don't really know.
Yeah.
Well, the way they shoot, to I guess to bring a high note to a rapey scene, the way they shoot it whenever they go in there and he drops a robe and you see her behind, that's a good shot. Other than the 3 seconds of total ick right before
Yeah.
it happens, it's a good sensual looking scene
Oh
right
yeah.
before you pan out.
Oh, it's
So
definitely a
it's
sexy
bad
scene.
but sexy.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, even though it's essentially a rape scene, there are things there to be appreciated.
I'm not overly gratifying it,
I
if that
understand.
word even makes sense. I'm just saying, if you didn't see the part where he's about to rape her, when he's raping her, it doesn't look bad.
Um, I will say this, and the whole that traction thing that Bond's on,
Oh my god, that's the worst part of the film
that
for
is
me.
like one of the goofiest scenes. Like literally, I like the scene from Never Say Never Again where Bond plays the video game with Largo more than I do this traction scene from
I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that scene
like
over
what the
the.
hell were they thinking? Like,
What is
Other
up
than the
with that camera angle? Just
I know, yes. I was
that
watching it
was
last night, Colton.
irritating.
I was watching it last night and I was like, what on earth were they like why were they doing that? Like,
aside from the fact that probably it wouldn't kill him. It might pull a back muscle
I don't think he's ready to have sex after that.
at the very worst. Yeah, no, he was.
You can tell he was,
But
but I don't think he would be.
what I was gonna say is like as a viewer, you don't want to say Bond in that
yeah.
sort of light. I don't like helpless, I guess.
Hollering for
Screaming for
help.
help.
Yes,
Yeah.
like
It was
it's just a
poorly
weird
done.
scene altogether. Like,
And
um,
what else is weird is they just kind of play pranks on each other back and forth.
I was gonna bring that up. That whole sequence is just daft. Like, it's just dumb. Like, you have Count Lippy, who we haven't even talked about. Count Lippy, Spectre agent. We got him doing that to Bond, and then you got Bond putting the little steam thing he was in. And I was watching it and I was thinking, because like we see Bond do that to him, put him in the little steam. What is that thing called?
I don't
I
Like,
know.
I think
like,
it's similar to a sauna, but like a personal sauna. I think
yeah.
it's called a sweat box. I think
Okay.
because
So,
I saw there was one of those in the old Halloween Town movie. I think the first Halloween Town movie.
Okay, so he's in the steam box or the sweat box, I mean, and he turns it up and locks it, but like there is no payoff of that at all. Like Lippy never says anything about it. Bond doesn't get in trouble for it. Like the next time we see Lippy, he's hanging out, and like I mean, I don't think his skin looked red or like it was just everything was fine like that.
Well, the same can be said about the stretch machine.
Yeah,
Like, it turned out fine.
yeah,
Like they were literally just playing pranks on
you're
each
just
other,
pranking each
seemingly.
other. Like,
Yeah.
You
but
could probably take these scenes out of this movie, and it would probably be better for me, honestly.
that's really what I meant from the first part of the movie. I just don't know about like all that pranking each other and them, telling us every bit of the plan, and then we have to watch Bond figure the
Fine.
plan
Yeah.
out. Like,
That's one thing I had in my notes. I think I just wrote story structure.
yeah,
But I really don't know. I don't know how to put it. Basically, I just don't think the audience should know more than Bond.
that's what I thought too.
That makes a
I
lot of
think
sense.
we as the audience should find out things at the same time as Bond.
But I'm gonna say one thing: in From Russia with Love, we knew Spectre's plan
Mhm.
kind of like we do here, but
Yeah,
I didn't feel like I didn't feel like it hampered it down too much. I feel like it rolled better than it does in Thunderball. Maybe in Thunderball they just spend too much time doing it.
they
But
spent too much time doing a lot of
yeah,
stuff. Like, there are a lot of scenes in here that drag on. The clinic
yes,
sequence in particular just goes on for about 10-15 minutes too long. And so, like Kelton said, if you were to cut out the prank scenes, it might have, and the rape scene. Let's go ahead and include that.
yeah,
Fair
You
enough.
cut
Yeah,
cut all that out, and it's probably for the better. I know it's for the better.
definitely.
yeah.
I
I would
agree with
agree.
that 100%.
Um, so moving on, we get the body double. You know,
I thought
That
that
was
um,
was really cool.
that was probably the best shot in the movie. Uh,
so in the book that does not exist.
mm.
Really.
And guys, we really got to start putting spoiler alerts on the beginning of
Of the
this because
book
I would
stuff.
hate to just like screw everybody's like experience up by just blurting stuff out like that.
Yeah.
But but yeah, in the book there is no double. It's just like literally Domino's brother who has been paid off by Spectre to steal the nuclear bombs. In this movie, I guess they didn't want to have the main Bond girl's brother being evil, but we get the body double, which yes, I do think that is a pretty cool little shot. Colton and Caleb, I agree with both of y'all on that one. So step back away from the body double. What do you think about the girl Fiona Volpe? What about her?
Yeah, she does it. She works for her. Seems like I think she looks good. I think
Oh
she's
yeah,
got a yeah. She's definitely good looking. She's got like a commanding presence, like her sensuality, like her playfulness. The old guy did not suspect a thing. I thought that was great. Uh, but she really sold her scenes for me, especially in the beginning part.
Caleb, what do you think?
Yeah, I love the dynamic between her and Bond.
Yeah,
Specifically, there seems to be not as big of a power imbalance there that we're used to, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
I feel like at any second she could just, you know, pull out a gun and
and literally kill him. Yes,
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I agree. Good observation there, Caleb. I like that. Um, yeah, like one part that I think is so like just crazy, and it really shows you how Spectre is, was the part where Angelo? Is that his name? He demands more money,
Mm.
and then it flashes to Blofeld, and Blofeld says Largo's done a good job, but Count Lippy has not done a good job. He's hired someone who has questionable morals or whatever because he demanded more money.
Mm.
So they're gonna now just kill Count Lippy because he hired somebody that was bad. I was like, man, that is really like, it's really just such an asshole move. Like, man, just
Ruthless.
kill all your employees if they mess
Yeah.
up just a little bit. I mean, Count Lippy just got scalded in the sweatbox. Like, I think he's
Yeah.
had enough punishment.
Man, if I worked for Spectre, I'd be terrified to take a sick day.
Yes,
I mean, that's probably the point, though. Like,
reminds me of working at Walmart. So it reminds me. Well, no, anyway, Colton, what was you saying? Sorry about that.
so like that's kind of like what I derive from it. That's kind of the point. Like you want, like I would think Blofeld wants his underlings to think, like you mess up one time and that's all you get.
That's it.
There's
Mhm.
there's no apologies, nothing. Don't mess up. Like I thought it made him seem like really, really ominous and
Yeah,
really, really powerful.
Yeah, you're on thin ice to begin
yeah.
with.
You're always being watched and evaluated, and
Mhm.
um. So moving on, we get Angelo stealing the Vulcan bomber, and uh, doing a aquatic landing, and we get, of course, Largo killing him, and they put that tarp thing over. So at this point, we get one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and I don't know if y'all might not even have even thought twice about it, but one of my favorite scenes in the movie is whenever Spectre has sent their recording to the British intelligence or whoever,
Mhm.
saying, hey, we have some nukes now, and we stole them from y'all, and we're ransoming y'all, and Bond comes in, and M says, now that we're all here, and they're all those double O agents are sitting there. I think that's one
Yeah.
of the greatest scenes in the movie, man. Like, just it really, to me, it makes it feel like, man, this really is something. Like, we got all the double O people
This
in
is
Europe,
this is serious now.
Yes, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, but like it's very quick. But one of those double O agents is a woman.
Man, I remember you saying that during our last call, and maybe I just wasn't paying close enough attention. Can you describe where she was sitting?
The left side,
Okay.
and maybe it's not in the movie. Maybe it's like in like a picture, like like a set picture. But one of
Yeah.
them is a woman, which I
Okay.
always thought was cool because
Yeah.
you know. But I'll try to find that and I'll send it to you later on
Okay.
if I can find something. I'm like 99% sure I'm right on this though. Like I really think that's what the way it was.
Well, I was
Uh,
looking for it and I didn't. I mean, I was looking for it and I still didn't see it. So I was just like, oh, I'm not gonna pause the movie and keep looking for
I
it.
understand.
But what you said about uh when M says, now that we're all here, I was like, man, that is good context clues to show that Bond kind of does that shit all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, you can tell M's really sick of it. So I like that.
I'm pretty sure I've heard that exact line from a teacher before.
Oh yeah,
Most definitely.
definitely.
But yeah, I really like this whole part, and I love when Bond goes back to M's office and he's like, "Well, something's messed up because I actually met. Oh, I mean, I saw this guy dead,
Hmm.
in Shrublands, the other night, and then that guy, the general, the not gen, whoever that guy was in the room with him was like, well, that's impossible. But it just goes to show M thinks more of Bond's,
Y-
the
Yeah, I liked that touch.
yeah,
It showed how basically showed why Bond is even still employed
exactly,
because there is some he's got some usefulness.
yes,
Um, but M really trusts his judgment.
yeah. That's one of my favorite Bond and M trade offs. Like just the way he would believe whatever Bond said. I really like that
Yeah.
scene. Um, Colton, you got anything to say about that?
There was I might be thinking of Goldfinger, but I don't think I am. I think it was this movie. M cuts Bond off on saying something. I don't remember it exactly, but Bond goes to, he's like, oh, and he's like, and I'll grab my hat over here, but like there was no hat on the hat
Yeah.
rack, so like he
I'm,
went to,
I'm
Go ahead. Go ahead.
well,
good.
he like it was his excuse to get out of the moment, and like he didn't even wear a hat in, so that was really really nice. I really appreciated that.
But I'm glad you brought this up. He did wear a hat in.
Yeah.
I
Where does
totally
that
missed
go?
it. I missed
Like,
it.
what the hell happened to his hat? And you know what? I've always wondered, what was that even supposed to be? Was that like a joke or like what? Like, why did they do
It
that?
was
Like,
I don't, I don't
it
know.
was so out of place.
I
Like
liked it. So I was like, oh, I guess he didn't wear a hat this time. I
but like,
totally
no,
missed it.
he
So
did.
it's an
Here's what I
inconsistency, I
think.
guess.
Here's what I think. So I think that shoot took maybe over like 2 or 3 days to shoot. They forgot the hat prop, and that was their way of sort of, I don't know,
Fudging it.
like winking at the audience, maybe like, we forgot the hat.
yeah.
No, I don't know. It was really weird.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all, but it is what it is. I'm glad you brought that up, Colton. Thank you.
I really liked it. Like I thought, like it may like it's an inconsistency or whatever, but like I thought it was like a good like character moment for Bond.
Yeah.
Like he's like he didn't want to be any part of the ass chewing. He's just gonna dip out.
Well, I
So
But
get what you're saying, and it would have worked better had he not brought a hat. See, that's what throws the whole scene off.
yeah,
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 like
no, I get it. And I didn't
Yeah.
even think he wore a hat in because like he wasn't wearing a hat to the debriefing.
Mm.
So like I guess whenever he walked in the room and he put his hat on the hat rack, like it wasn't in my head that he did that. Like I didn't see it.
well, usually in these early Bond movies, Bond takes the hat and he
He
throws it
throws it. Yeah.
onto the thing. But in this one, he walks in and he's about to throw it, but the hat rack is like right next to him, so he just puts it there.
Hmm.
But
That makes a lot of sense.
There's a
but
hat conspiracy going on
yeah, yeah, there
at
is a hat
MI6.
conspiracy.
They're trying too close. They're trying too hard to get that Sherlock Holmes energy.
I think it was maybe it was a subplot that just didn't get fleshed out. Like
There's a whole deleted like 8 hour section of this film.
that's what I'm
Thunderball, the
thinking.
hat
Yeah, they
conspiracy.
were like, if this movie's long enough. I know we still got that scene in there about the hat, but we like maybe on in the director's cut.
Director's cut.
When
Yeah,
it comes out on Betamax.
Yeah,
yeah.
the European director's cut on Betamax.
Oh,
Yeah,
Hey guys, if you wouldn't mind excusing me for 1 second, I've got to tend to something. So
you're
um
fine, Kelly.
I'll be right back. But
go
you
ahead.
guys can continue. You don't have to pause it or anything. So
All right.
I don't know. Sorry to go on that whole like tangent, John. I just like I kind of wish he hadn't brought a hat in because like that would have been a real for me that was a really good character moment. So
Well, I'm actually really glad that you and him both had stuff to say about that moment because I had written that down as one of my notes, and I was like, man, they're probably not even going to know what I'm talking about whenever I say this, but I'm going to bring it up. And I'm glad you brought it up, Colton. And something else I wanted to say, and just because Caleb is doing this, trying not to advance anymore in the movie, I want to go back to the scene where Bond. Okay, do you remember when they're at the nerd or the health clinic, and those guys bring the dead body in?
yes, they
Well,
bring him in an ambulance, correct?
yes. The music that plays at that part when Bond's walking through the place and he's, like that music is top tier for me. I cannot state it enough how much I just love the score of this movie, and I'm not trying to say that because
Well,
you don't like it, Colton. Like, but I
well,
love
like
the score.
I just didn't like that section of the film, like
Yeah,
sound wise. Like I didn't even notice the score whenever they pulled up with that guy in the ambulance. There was only few moments in the film that took me out of it, and just I'll bring it up when we get to the island, and I'll explain more like about
okay.
that because there's a key moment to where I was like, man, this is not working for me. But like, I need to go back and rewatch Thunderball again, I guess, because I didn't even notice the the score during the ambulance scene.
Hey, Caleb, we didn't go anywhere in the movie. We were talking about the score whenever we went back a little bit to where Count Lippy had brought the body into the health clinic. Do you remember
Mhm.
that?
Yep.
I was talking about how I liked the score, the music that was going on there. I mean, I really like this album, the Thunderball soundtrack album. I actually have it on vinyl. My wife found it out at a record shop or a yard sale or something like that one time, and it's one of my favorites. I really like it. But so anyway, where are we at right now in the movie, guys? I think we're at Bond knowing that he has to go to the Bahamas.
Correct.
Hey,
So
before we am I okay? There we go. I thought my audio was muted for a second. Before we move past that scene, I know you were talking about the score, but I wanted to touch on the part where Bond was he dials 911 on that rotary phone and slams the dude's hand that's got the
it's got
knife. I love that scene for some
It's
reason,
good.
man. I
it's
love
awesome.
that. But it's never explained what happened to the guy that was also in the room with a gun.
Yeah, Count Lippy, like he was in the room with the gun, and the next scene we see is Bond leaving, and Count
And
Lippy gets in his car and is following him.
yeah, I love how
And
he engages the fire alarm. He just, you
yeah,
know, that's so James Bond to me.
but
And
later
smooth.
on, whenever Bond's driving the car and Count Lippy's behind him and he's shooting out the window with the gun, and then Girl comes up on the motorcycle and blows him up. You remember
Yes.
that?
I do, yeah.
Well, that's what happens to that guy that was in that room. Like,
Well, I guess what I meant was like, why didn't he
yeah, I
shoot
know.
him?
I thought that last night. Like, I was watching the movie last night. And I was like, well, dude, why don't dude just go ahead and kill Bond right now? Like, he could do it. Like, he could do it. Get out of there. That'd be it. Like,
But
like
yeah, but another thing that I wanted to mention that I forgot about. I love how Bond just drapes the phone cord over that dude's
yeah,
neck for no reason.
yeah. I like that too.
And you can hear the operator on the other line like 911. And I'm glad we went back here because I've got something for you guys.
Let's
So
see
you
it.
was talking about the chase scene, and I should have brought this for Goldfinger, but this is my model DB5.
I
Oh
Uh,
like it.
yeah.
it is if the quality on my camera was good enough, you could probably see the damage that it sustained when I was a kid playing with it. This is not a toy, and I didn't know that. Like I'm rolling around outside, playing James Bond, and which I guess all things considered, it's in pretty good shape. But I just want to point out the detail. You got the shield there that yeah, that needs some WD-40. Um, and you got, I think these actually come out. The yeah,
Tire Spox.
yeah. Look here, can you see
Oh,
it?
it does come
Wow.
out.
Yeah,
That's
it's very, very,
awesome.
very
That's
detailed.
awesome.
I won't spend too much time on this, but one of the cool things about it is, oh yeah, the hood opens. Uh, you see the center console in there? That actually
Yes.
opens, and it's got the switches in it. Let me see if I can.
Now,
Yep.
did you say what brand the model is?
I'm gonna look here in just a second.
That looks really good.
Um, crafted in China.
Oh,
Uh, there is actually, yeah, there's a little thing here, but I don't know what it
The ones I
says.
have are corgis.
I don't think that's I can't really read that. So I don't know what brand this is, but which I know I've already mentioned it, but man, the detail is just crazy. It's got the revolving number plates that actually revolves. You can get your
Yeah.
are you
finger in there.
serious?
Yeah.
And the trunk
Um,
lifts open?
the trunk comes open and no jetpack.
It
Um,
wouldn't shut with the jetpack in there.
it's got a spare tire in there.
Oh, I dig
and
it.
it's even painted.
Yeah, I think there was something else. Oh, you can see the machine guns. I said I wasn't going to spend too much time on this, but there was one more thing. Oh, all right. So obviously the roof is missing. There's a insert that goes there that I couldn't find, and the ejector seat actually works, but I couldn't find the seat either. Um, but yeah, that's my model DB5 that I brought up on the last show. Oh, and the bumper things. I don't think he ever used those in the movie, did he?
They didn't.
Okay, yeah.
What
These,
do the bumper things do?
They're supposed to be like a bull, like bull bars or ram, like
Oh,
battering
okay,
rams. That's what.
that makes sense.
yeah.
I think that's an awesome model, Caleb. I really
Yeah.
appreciate
Thank
you
you.
showing us that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm super jealous actually because I'd
One
like
more
to have one
thing,
of
I
those.
forgot about this. The tail lights open up for the oil slick.
Dude, that is so
Oh,
cool.
Yeah,
I kind of want one of those now. That's so
man.
awesome.
I
I
have
really
a
wish my dad would have had the foresight to know better than to give this to like a 8 year old me. Because man, he should have known. I really, I was sort of disheartened when I found it in this condition. I guess I didn't remember how rough on it I was, but yeah, it's still pretty cool though.
So I have the corgi version of that. Whenever I was in like third grade, my mom bought me a corgi Aston Martin DB5 from Goldfinger. But yours is more swanky than mine was.
Yeah.
Um, and you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I know you would obviously want it to look good now, but dude, all that matters. Let me tell you something, man. All that matters is that you have memories of yourself playing James Bond
Oh
when
yeah.
you was a little kid. Because I mean,
Sure. Yeah.
I've got those memories too, man. That's
Uh-huh.
that's awesome. You still got the car. I'm glad you brought that out, man. That's
I
awesome.
really and again, I don't want to spend too long on this, but I'm gonna look this up. I may buy another one of these if they're
Yeah,
available, or if they're not just you know outrageously expensive. But man, dude, check this out. The suspension works. Like
yeah, that's
it's
awesome.
there's so much detail. Yeah. Anyway,
Well, thanks for that, man. I appreciate you bringing that up.
yeah,
But
I wish I would have had it. It would have been more uh pertinent for Goldfinger, I guess. More relevant.
Like you've actually got me looking up the car now to see if I can find it because
Well, if you find something on it, let me know like
I
how
will for
much
sure, dude.
and where to order it from. But what I didn't mean to derail us for that long. Go.
no, you're
Oh
good.
no, you're
Yeah.
good, bro. I think that's super awesome, and I
Thank you.
think anybody watching will appreciate it too because that is a highly
Yeah.
detailed vehicle
And
and
most
super
definitely.
cool.
So Bond goes to the Bahamas. Has anybody here ever been to the Bahamas?
Nope.
I have actually.
Have you
You
really?
have?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did, didn't you?
Yeah. I think I sent you a picture of the with the pink hotel whenever because whenever I don't know what the name of it is whenever I was in Nassau, but I had seen Casino Royale at that point, and I was like, hey, look, there's that famous hotel from Casino Royale, and I sent Jonathan a picture of it. So,
That's
uh,
awesome, man.
yeah, it's really nice. It feels great. It felt great when we went down there. Just the water is just so beautiful and clear. If you guys ever get a chance to go, I suggest it.
Oh yeah. I would love to.
So Bond in the Bahamas. Colton, you've been there, obviously. Um, so we get Bond and his friend Paula. They make contact right off the bat with Domino. So what do y'all think about Domino?
Go ahead, Cole.
I like the personal attachment to the villain. Um, I said earlier that I didn't really care about Emilio. Like he didn't really have any emotional attachment for me. But uh, after I said that, I thought, well, it was nice seeing her get revenge on him at the
Yeah.
end. Other than that, there's really not much to say. Um, yeah, she was fine. She wasn't bad.
So
Colton?
I think that she's got like similar like characteristics to maybe Honey Rider, like with her naivete. Like she definitely seems like, I'm not gonna say childlike, but definitely more in the childlike vein, like sheltered, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Not that she hasn't been through bad things. It's just she gives me those kind of vibes. Uh,
So
Wasn't she
I
actually
got
voiced by the same actress as
I
the
I
dubbed?
actually I think actually think she was I think she was dubbed. She might
By
have been
the
dubbed by the same person.
I'm thinking she was. Here, I've got IMDb pulled up. Let me look. Y'all go ahead.
Nikki Vandersil was one that dubbed a lot of them. It might be her again.
Yeah.
But okay, so I'm gonna have I guess like a little bit of a contrary view of Domino. I think Domino. I never thought she was really not naive. I always thought she was one of the more the ones that could could hold their own. I mean, she kills Largo at the end, and that's exactly the way that I would characterize her as a woman who, if she does not like you, she would get you. She's got that Italian kind of like fire to her. She if she doesn't like you, she'll do away with you. Um,
I just I meant like when we're introduced to her,
yeah,
like
Bond's having to
obviously,
pull her out of the.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, Colton.
yeah, like obviously, like she goes through stuff later in the film, and
Yeah,
that adjusts her character. I just mean like at the first part here, like she's bewildered with marine biology, and she's just,
yeah.
I don't know. That's why I get those vibes probably.
I do think she is absolutely beautiful,
Oh yeah, definitely for sure.
like just gorgeous. Like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, all
um,
the women like Domino and I like Paula. I
yeah.
think she's attractive. She's like really attractive. And
By the
then
way, Paula, the woman that her actor, the woman that well, actress, the woman that you know played Paula was in From Russia with Love. She was one of the gypsy girls that fought.
that
Oh,
makes a
that's
lot of
right.
sense.
Yeah.
Martine Beswick's her name in real life.
Uh, and the actress that plays Fiona, I think all three of those women are gorgeous. Like,
Yep,
uh, I don't think any of them were poorly chosen for this film. I think they
not at
all
all. I
do their job
completely
great.
agree with you. Um, So we kind of see Bond get more involved with the little nightlife scene. Well, not just nightlife, day life as well. We see them eating lunch together, and then later on we see Bond going to the casino at night, and he's playing against Largo. What do you think about the whole the Baccarat scene when he says it's your specter against mine? He's just making it obvious
He's
that he knows this guy.
laying it on thick,
He
man. But I
really
mean,
is.
but this is the same guy that tells everybody his real name. So are we surprised?
Yeah, I exactly. I mean, absolutely agree with you, Caleb.
By the way, Nikki Van Der Zeel. Is that how
Yep,
you pronounce her name? Yep.
that's her.
Yeah, it's weird that Colton made that connection. They have the same voice actress. So
That
Good
is real
job.
weird.
mhm.
Maybe it was like a subconscious thing for me
Yeah,
then.
yeah. Give yourself credit, man. But yeah,
But
that scene, Bond he's just really laying it on, man. Like he's making it very clear that he knows. Um,
Yeah, for real. Like, I mean, if I was Largo, I would totally be like, all right, this guy's gotta be killed like right now. Like, we gotta do away with him.
mhm.
just nip it in the bud.
Yeah, and so Bond has a dance with Domino in which he talks to her about, he like asks him. I mean, if you look at it real life, he's asking weird questions. Like he's asking, "Are you sleeping at the Disco Volante tonight?" He's asking all sorts of weird stuff.
Do you guys
He
find the dialogue in this movie weird in general?
Yes,
There
I think
are there are a few
yes.
scenes where it just seems weird. Oh, like the Moneypenny scene. Like I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but
Yeah.
that scene in particular is where it really stuck out.
I
I was like, maybe Bond's autism's just coming out, and
It just
definitely his autism, his Bondism.
yeah,
um,
The dialogue is really, he's really fumbling it. Not that he's delivering it bad, but it's almost like Sean Connery was drunk reading the script. Like
that's a
or
good
maybe he just didn't
possibility.
care,
maybe he just didn't care.
just didn't
Like
care. He was at that
Yeah.
point. He was like, I don't care
he's
anymore.
like
Well,
overemphasizing the wrong words.
yeah. What I mean is, well, okay. That's a good observation too. But like in the dialogue scenes, some of the exchanges are just like really
Yeah.
choppy feeling, and maybe you could chalk that up to the editing, or
You
I don't
think it
know.
might be a chemistry thing?
It could be that. Yeah, I don't know. It just stuck out to me.
No,
So
well,
we
I totally picked up on it. I feel what you mean.
so we get our Q scene in the movie. Bond gives Bond a lot of gadgets here. He gives him the camera
Mhm.
and a watch and a pill to take. And him and Bond are just so like they just really don't like each other in this movie.
Here's
Like,
another example of weird dialogue, man. Okay,
I know.
real quick, I said on the last show, I was like, "Oh, the Q chemistry just it evolves and gets better." I forgot about this scene.
It's not good at
They,
all, is it?
yeah, they are just at each other's throats, seemingly like I don't. Go
It
I'm
ahead,
gonna be
Cole.
straight
seems.
with you, Caleb. I think the Never Say Never Again Q scene is better than this one.
Yeah.
Do they
It's
get Do they get Llewellyn to come back for Never Say Never again?
oh
No.
no, no.
Uh-uh.
Well, that's
What is?
disappointing.
Well, I don't think they even refer to him as Q.
They call him Algernon in Never Say
Yeah.
Never Again.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
um,
I'll say that it's the vibe I got from it was like Hugh was on his own vacation and they called him. It's like Bond needs you and your
yeah,
stuff right now, and he's like, "Son of a bitch."
I,
yeah.
I,
He was pissed off.
I love
Yeah, definitely.
how convenient things are in this universe as far as people being in the right place. So,
Hmm.
like, that could. I mean, that's consistent with the universe. Q just happening to be in the Bahamas, and he just so happens to have a bunch of gadgets with him. Um, I wanted to ask you about this, Jonathan. At any point during this scene, does Q mention the camera having a Geiger counter? Because I remember the watch being a Geiger counter. It
No,
seems like the camera just turns into a Geiger counter all at
yes,
once.
it does.
Plot convenience.
I love that you bring this up because that is exactly what happens. Like they must have got that stuff mixed up because at first the camera is special because it's what
It's
infrared and it
waterproof.
can go underwater and
Yeah.
can take like 10 pictures at the same time.
Mhm.
But then it's like halfway through the movie, it turns into a Geiger counter. It's like back up to that the watch is a Geiger counter, really. Like it's
Yeah, which would have been fine if Q had just mentioned it, but then
yeah.
he could. I don't know. It seems like he would have been like, "Oh, also your breathing apparatus is a Geiger counter. This shirt is a Geiger counter."
Yeah, like, everything's a Geiger counter.
So
Yeah, like
another thing I wanted to ask a question about was like the I don't know what it's called, but like the propelling device that Bond puts on. Just I know Bond is leaning on it. Does Q say anything about it?
uh I think he talks about it briefly, like just a little bit.
I definitely tuned out then because I didn't think it was something he was going to use, and then the next thing I know, he's like rocketing through the water.
If I remember correctly, he turns it on and off a few times, like
Yeah, it was
just
being
messing
annoying.
with him
I
a
was
little
like,
bit. Like,
Yeah, the only thing I remember about that part in particular about in this scene is Q saying, "Hey, quit fiddling with that."
yeah,
yeah,
And I was thinking during that scene when I saw him flipping it on and off, I was like, "Wait a minute, does that actually come up later in the movie?" And it
yeah,
and it, and it did. But I think it would have been really helpful for Q to mention that it leaves a yellow trail.
Yeah.
I think if I was Q, I'd be like, listen, yeah, it'll help you traverse underwater like really fast, but man, it's gonna give away your position. Honestly, I wouldn't even use it.
Really nasty looking stuff, if I remember. Like, it's just,
Maybe if you want the enemies to think that you're just pissing everywhere.
yes. Or just got swamp ass.
Maybe it was just a different type of like a chemical, like a gaseous chemical, like nitrogen or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Some
Maybe.
sort of a propellant that's making
yeah,
him,
Now,
maybe that's
well,
why it looked different than regular oxygen or carbon dioxide underwater.
I think the reason it's yellow, and it could have been explained that way, Colton. I would have bought that.
But they
But
didn't explain it.
no, they didn't. It's just yellow inexplicably.
Correct.
But I think it's just so Bond will stick out during the underwater scene, so you can tell which one's Bond, and we'll touch on that when we get to the underwater battle. But I think that's why it's spraying yellow stuff everywhere.
yeah, I agree with you there. And we do get a scene with Bond going out at night, going under the Disco Volante, um, and fighting, a few guys, and we have Vargas, the I guess the lead henchman of the movie, next to Fiona Volpe, who's I guess the henchwoman of the movie. We get Vargas throwing grenades into the water. My thing is this, and I thought about this last night. He's throwing grenades in the water. Dude, if I throw a grenade in the water, that stuff is not going to sink down right whenever it's going to stay on the top. It's going to blow up and right in front of me.
Right.
Like, did you see Vargas throwing those into the water? And
There were
I mean,
multiple henchmen
yes,
throwing grenades. It seemed like. Look, I don't know much about grenades. I assuming how dense they are, uh, maybe they would sink. But it seems like these grenades were exploding upon impact.
yes. Like, I just,
So
I mean, sure. I mean, they might sink, but like, a grenade's what got a 5 second timer, maybe some 6 seconds, something like that.
I'm not sure. I think it differs depending on what kind of grenade and when
But
it was made.
yeah,
But still, the fact remains is that they're not making it anywhere near Bond. It seems.
yeah,
But now we do get some shots of Bond underwater that make it seem like the explosions are closer.
yeah.
So I don't think
Which,
I just don't think that scene was executed well.
yeah,
What's up
I
with
think,
Bond holding his ears from like the explosion will be muffled underwater?
I think it was just to telegraph that he's getting some
yeah,
sort of
Okay.
effect from the grenades because I think I mean I've never been underwater during a grenade explosion, but I
same.
think I think there would be some concussive
Well,
elements.
I'm not like downplaying it. I'm just like I was just wondering like because like a grenade exploding would be really loud and then underwater it would be you would assume it would be muffled more and I wouldn't know how that would have an effect. I mean, you of course you've got pressure on your eardrums anyway. And I'm going off on a tangent. I'm sorry, guys.
You good?
No, this is worth. I think this is worth discussing.
Yeah,
Really.
I do too.
Well,
No, go ahead.
you go ahead.
Um, I'm not disagreeing with you or saying that you're complaining about the scene. I'm just saying like I the only I think that's the only way they could come up with for Bond to show that like he's getting hurt from the grenades.
Oh yeah, no, the context clues make a lot of sense. I was just not nitpicking, but nitpicking, if that makes sense. I will say one other thing. It seems like what was the director's name of this movie?
Terrence
Terrence
Young.
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 It seems like Terrence Young like showed some people Goldfinger. It was there, and their reaction to the opening of Goldfinger with like the scuba scene, and they were like, "This is awesome." He's like his pitch meeting for like the next Bond film. He's like, "Okay, guys." He's like, "It was a scuba scene, and I loved it." He said, "We've really got to make this next movie just nothing but scuba scenes." They just
Why
like
is
triple
why is he
down.
Australian?
I have no
Yeah.
clue. But you're welcome.
Good eye, mate.
Crikey, it's another
Wait.
scuba scene.
Welcome to the set of Thunderball.
Yeah, Thunderball does sound better in Australian.
Mates, I got an idea for this next scene. Let's chuck grenades in the water.
Y'all are out of your mind.
That's how we fish down under.
Crockett, there's no aquatic life.
Anyway, yeah,
Good job with that, boys.
I didn't
I'm
really,
sorry, John.
I didn't really think that scene was very good. I think it would have been more effective if they had like just sprayed into the water with machine guns.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I
then
do
Bond
too.
might have died, but even though he's not going to die because of pull-out armor, so
Right. Well, yeah.
it would have been more menacing. I totally agree.
So after that scene, we get Bond being picked up by Fiona Volpe in a Mustang, and I always think of you whenever I see this scene, Colton, because you actually bought me the little Hot Wheels version of that car.
Really.
You
I mean,
did.
I remember buying you some 007 Hot Wheels, but I don't remember that
That is the
specific
one.
car. Well, it makes me proud. Plus, I really like Fiona in this film. Like,
Yeah,
I think she might be one of my favorites so far. So,
yeah, she's
um,
awesome.
I've got a question. Is that the same Mustang from Goldfinger?
I think it's the same style, isn't it,
wasn't
Colton?
it a convertible in Goldfinger?
It's a convertible here too, isn't it? At least
It's
it's got a
got the
soft.
Possibly.
soft top up, right?
Yeah, it's got a soft top.
It could be the same car. Well, that other car was just destroyed
True.
unless the garage fixed it.
Oh man, what if it's Tilly's old car? I hope that thing ain't got a clean title.
Definitely not.
You got to check the Carfax.
Yeah.
Just a
Uh,
Carfax.
it might be the same. It looks very similar. Well, I guess the reason I think that's because it's the same color.
I will say there are still a lot of Fords in this movie, just like the last one. You see a Lincoln Continental, see the Mustang. It's a reoccurring theme again. Not as
Yeah.
prevalent as Goldfinger.
And she is flying down that road. Who's that for? Like,
I don't know. Like I
It
don't
is.
know.
That's a weird scene, isn't it?
I
Like,
think she
that's
kind
was
of.
trying to
man.
show Bond she was in power.
Yeah, like maybe that was like an early feminist like scene. It was very. I was watching it last night. I was like, maybe I just never realized how weird this scene is. It's just like she's flying and he's like looking uncomfortable. That's about all that goes down. Like,
Yeah,
The
I don't know.
dialogue there was a little weird too, but I don't. The scene works for me because like it shows you she's kind of like off her Crocker and will do
yeah,
whatever. So I liked it, but like it is a little like has no purpose, I guess.
Hmm.
we later on we get Bond going to Largo's house and we get a little bit of skeet shooting in. And they drink one of my favorite drinks, which is a rum Collins. Have you boys had one of those?
I have not.
Mm-mm.
If you boys come up to my house, I'll take you out to the bar. We'll have a rum Collins. It's really good.
Sounds good.
Um,
I love the line there where Bond grabs a shotgun and he says, this gun seems more fitting for a woman."
yeah,
And
and
Largo says, you know a lot about guns? No, but I know a lot about women."
I love that.
It was so good.
And I
Mm.
like that other scene when he's skeet shooting, and Bond says it looks terribly difficult, and he
Yeah, and he
shoots,
just nails it.
and he
It
Like,
was
says,
so
he says,
awesome.
from the hip, bang.
yeah,
No, it isn't, is it?
no, it
It
isn't, is
was
it?
so cool.
Yeah.
Like I love skeet shooting anyway, but like that scene was really cool for me.
Yeah.
Well, I'll ask you since you're an expert on the topic of
I'm definitely not an expert, but I did it
play
a
pitch.
lot.
Okay, well, you've done it enough. How hard is it to shoot one of those from the hip?
From the hip, I so skeet shooting is different than trap shooting, which I did more trap. I have shot some skeet, but I've never been close enough to the thrower to where I would be able to shoot it from the hip. So uh I would say it's difficult. It's extremely difficult to shoot skeet anyway, depending on the wind and your position anyway. So the fact that Bond did that, even though it's relatively close, the odds are still like I wouldn't say high, but like it's still like surprising that he did it. And I don't know how practical that was either. So
I I'm thinking there was probably somebody off screen who
yeah,
actually shot it, or
That's
It could have just been added in post. Honestly, I
Right.
don't think that would have been a very difficult effect. Um,
No,
but the fact remains that that was a really cool
it was
scene.
smooth as shit. Like
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
probably one of my other favorite scenes of this movie. Like it just that's check that little box for Connery's Bond for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that scene. I really do.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
this movie, I mean, it has a lot to like about it.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
it sounds like maybe or maybe not, but it sounds like we're dogging on it a little bit.
I
And go
I don't
ahead.
want it to come off that way.
No,
Uh,
yeah,
I just have a
Well,
few gripes about it. Like I enjoyed the movie. Like
I mean, just me personally, I feel like even though I feel like I have dogged on it a little bit here, um, I feel like I am one of the people that see Thunderball in a relatively positive light because I have seen a lot of people who hate this movie.
yeah, I have too,
I really have. Like,
and I, I'm almost ashamed to say that maybe why my opinion was what it was
yeah,
because I've seen so many and read so many
yeah.
reviews painting this movie in a negative light. I was like, at some point, I was like, well, it's not even worth going back and watching to form my own opinion. But it was like
It's
I really liked it.
so. What do y'all think about Felix Leiter in this movie?
so, I like Felix in this movie.
Now that
Uh,
you brought that up, I changed my mind. I don't. No, I'm just kidding. He's giving me some Jack Lord vibes.
That's
yeah,
what
it
he
definitely
always did
did.
it with me
Yeah,
too. And so I don't know if you guys know this man, but his name is it's got probably the best name of any Felix Leiter. His name is Rick Van Nutter.
yeah. I was seeing that on IMDb. I'll say he looks like a B-rated Clint Eastwood, and I love
He
it.
does.
That is, oh man, that's a great connection. I didn't think about
Um,
that.
yeah,
I think it's
like
the
I
hair.
always thought. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just think it's his hair that does it for me. That it gives me the Clint Eastwood of the time vibes. So
Yeah, like I always liked his version of Felix. I really think that they could have used him in a few more Bond movies, and he would have been better than a few of them.
I
Like I would
I'm gonna
rather have Felix in this movie than Felix in Diamonds Are Forever. And I hate to say that because I don't hate that actor, but like I like Rick Van Nutter better.
I'm gonna disagree with you, man. It's not that I didn't like him, but I kind of prefer the more bureaucrat
Bureaucratic.
version
Okay.
from
Hey,
Goldfinger. I don't know
I
why.
respect that.
It's not there's really nothing wrong with either version, but okay. Here's what I think the reason I don't like him is because of the scene when he goes to Bond's room and he almost gives him away.
Yeah.
that was bad
Yeah,
on his part.
but you could also defend Felix in that scene, and so and because I was like, well, why did he punch him in the stomach if he was gonna like because he says sorry about that, Felix. You almost said
James Bond.
007.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's what.
I was, guys, I originally wasn't going to bring this up because I feel like it is just so dumb. But what the hell was that scene about? Like,
That's another one of those weird out of place dialogue scenes, and
yes,
it's like
like,
that didn't have to happen at
It's
all.
really clunky.
like I don't understand it. I mean, I thought about it yesterday and earlier today. I was like, what do I even say about that? Like,
Well, I'll say that throwback to From Russia with Love, like Bond turns the water on that goon, and the water is immediately
like
scalding
hot
hot
as
again.
hell. Like,
It does not make any. Water doesn't do that. It doesn't work
Thus,
like that.
thus further illustrating the fantasy in which
Yeah,
this
definitely.
these movies take place. Because
yeah.
I mean, I've got to wait on my hot water a little bit. It's never instant.
Right.
I mean,
Like it
that
was.
water that Bond had at that hotel. My God, that shit was crazy.
It was hotter than the sweat box
Maybe
Yes,
they had
at the
more
facility.
efficient water heaters back
like,
then.
dude screamed whenever he.
Okay, now hold on a second. I will say this. It, it, I've stayed in some places, hotels in particular, where it does seem like the hot water it's still not instant, but it's
Yeah,
pretty quick. So
yeah.
I just feel like the steam hit old dude before the water hit old dude. Like it was like that.
And maybe that shower had a steam setting, and he turned them
Maybe.
on. They turned them both on simultaneously. I don't know.
But whenever Bond's at Largo's house, Largo says, you know, this is Vargas. You met him the other night, referring to when Bond was scuba diving or whatever, and Vargas was throwing grenades. And he says, what do you like, Vargas? Vargas does not drink. He does not smoke. He does not make love. What do you do, Vargas? And Vargas just sits there and doesn't say nothing. It's like, well, what does Vargas do, guys? Like, what? Like,
And then
That's
and
really
then
creepy.
and then Bond
Sorry,
says,
Kyle.
"Ah, a fellow artist."
man, like,
I get it because instead of autist, it's autist.
yeah, like, well, it's just such a weird scene. Like, I mean, I
It
like
is.
Vargas. He's a weird, like, killer, but just the way that whole scene went out, it's like, what the hell was
And,
going on here?
and
Like,
also touching on the dialogue there, are we supposed to think that Bond recognizes him,
I don't know, like,
or
or
is it?
that Vargas recognizes him, like, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like, well,
Well,
what I think we're supposed to think is like Largo knows that it was Bond who was diving around his boat.
oh yeah, duh. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Um,
I think I'm just trying to find. I'm just trying to poke holes in the dialogue at this
it's all
point.
good. Well, there's a lot of holes to be poked in some of this dialogue.
Well, yeah, I guess I just needed somebody to explain it to me like I was a 5-year old because that makes perfect sense.
And we also get they flash to Bond's hotel room, and we get Paula being kidnapped by Spectre.
Hmm.
She fell for that way too easy.
Yeah, I know. Like it was way too easy, wasn't it?
Like she's his assistant in this, right? But I would assume that means she's got like secret, like service
Yep.
training or something along the lines. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Well,
them,
it's a very least a gun.
yeah, a gun. Like that makes a lot of sense too. And like also like her, how far is it before her demise? Like, is it a long way away or is it's fairly close?
What I
Kind of
took,
close.
yeah, what I took from it is they captured her and took her straight to the boat, and somewhere in between locations she swallowed a cyanide pill, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, did she not think Bond would come for her? Like, she gave up super quick. Like,
Uh,
What I've always thought was maybe they were. I mean, you got to think she's an attractive woman. Maybe they were going to try to use rape as a
that makes
as
sense.
a threat. That's what I always thought why she killed herself.
That
I
makes a
don't
lot of
know
sense.
though. Like,
oh, man,
um,
if only the nurse earlier in the movie had a cyanide pill.
yeah, I know for real.
Mm.
That wouldn't have stopped James.
Unfortunately, not. But
I'm sorry.
but we also get Bond and Felix finding where the Vulcan is at, right?
Hmm.
Yes.
And we get. So what? Let me ask you this: what do y'all think about the underwater scenes in this movie?
Slow,
Yep,
slow.
they
My
do.
God, look,
They do
eh,
slow things down.
Terrence Young or the editor, what's his name again,
Peter
real
Hunt.
quick? Peter Hunt. They want to use the jump cuts and fight scenes, which you gripe about them all you want. I know I do. Use them here. Use them in the underwater
Yeah.
scenes. Get this shit over with.
It was excruciating.
Yeah,
Yeah, they.
man.
Like really bad. Like
So
what would be like considered really big special effects for the time being underwater is probably what hurts this like it should be like big budget special effects and it was, but I think it hurts this movie more than it helps this movie.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. It certainly does. I just I'm okay with maybe one or two little combative exchanges underwater, like real quick, just just to have in there. But having a whole action sequence centered around being underwater was just not a good idea. Because
So
everybody moves slow underwater. There's no way to make that look fast paced.
yes.
No.
So one thing I do want to say, I don't know if you guys know much about Kevin McClory, but Kevin McClory is the guy that owned the rights to Thunderball because him and Ian Fleming had got into it during the 50s, I believe. Um, so McClory actually won the rights to the novel Thunderball, and he was all about some underwater scenes. Like that was a big deal for him was the underwater scenes of Thunderball. So that's really why you see all of these underwater scenes. Now, McClory would later go on to make Never Say Never Again, and he would make that independently. It would not be part of Eon Productions, but of course, we know Thunderball is part of Eon Productions, and Kevin McClory is I think he's a producer of the movie.
Producer, he got a
Yeah.
producer credit. Yeah.
Um,
I there was another individual involved whose name is escaping me. Uh, and I
Jack
really,
Whittingham, maybe.
yep,
Um,
that's him.
yeah.
The way I understand it is this the idea of this movie originated as a screenplay,
Yes.
and at some point Fleming decided to adapt it to a novel, and he didn't give Kevin or Jack any credit whatsoever, and that bit him in the ass.
Yeah, but I have a lot to say about that, and I'm not gonna say it all right now because this show would turn into like 5 hours long, and I'm not trying to do all that. But I find it hard to believe that Kevin McCloy literally came up with the idea of Spectre because Ian Fleming in his novels he used the term Spectre so much it was not even funny. Like in Diamonds Are Forever, there's a ghost town. The novel Diamonds Are Forever, there's a ghost town called Spectreville. In the novel From Russia with Love, the machine's not called a Lecter, it's called a Spectre machine. So I think Fleming himself just liked that term Spectre. I think there was just something about it that he liked. So I find it hard to believe that McClory came up with that whole idea. There had to be a little bit from Fleming at least.
I don't know. I don't know all the details.
Yeah.
It's something I would like
Yeah.
to research and find out more about. But the general vibe that I get from the whole thing, just what little I've heard and read about, is Kevin was trying to take a lot of credit
Yes.
for more than he was due.
More than yeah, that's what I've always thought about it as well. I mean, obviously I wasn't there. I don't know. I just always thought of Kevin. I always thought of Kevin McClory in a negative light. Honestly,
He's the IRL Bond villain.
yes. Like
Nice.
I mean, really, like there's a reason why we never see Spectre after 1971. Diamonds Are Forever up until the movie Spectre, and that's because Kevin McClory had the rights to it all these years, and like a
Yeah, it just really created a mess for Cubby and
yeah,
Albert R. Broccoli to have to deal with.
yes,
Um, no, oh, sorry, Harry Saltzman and yeah, but a part of the deal was that he could remake the picture in 10 years, which is Never Say Never Again.
yep.
And I don't know if I said this during a show, but I do want to correct myself because I told Jonathan that I think Never Say Never Again uh is the better Thunderball. I take that back after watching this movie again. Now I will say this about Never Say Never Again. From what I can remember, it seems like they don't dwell on the underwater sequences as much.
Yeah, it's not as much as it is in Thunderball. I agree.
That's one positive I'll give it, but overall, I think this is a better movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I never even thought about it, but I think you could make, and I know people don't like Never Say Never Again a lot, but there are some scenes of Never Say Never Again I think might do things better than Thunderball, but I do think there's scenes of Thunderball that are do better than Never Say Never Again. I think altogether, spoiler alert, my feelings about Thunderball are a mixed bag. Like they really are. Like there's good and there's bad in it. Like
there is a lot to like about this movie, and one thing in particular that's maybe not be as relevant to you guys, but I think this is the first, yeah, this is the first Bond movie that was shot in a widescreen format, and whatever the film stock is that they're using, it looks great. Like the blacks are deeper. Some in some scenes, it seems like the colors are a little more saturated, and that could be because I was watching an upscale version, and it just looks a lot better.
The oceanic shots look super crisp. Like
Yeah,
you get like the shots of Felix and Bond in the helicopter. Some of those scenes look so good.
the landscape shots look
Yes,
great because
definitely.
because you've got this wide format. Um,
so I want to bring this up. What about the actually I'm jumping forward for a little bit. Go ahead with what you were saying, Caleb.
uh, I think that pretty much sums up what I was wanting to say. The picture quality, the cinematography, and everything, it's really good, and I want to say that it's improved upon since Goldfinger by, even if it's just by a small margin. It's I think this is a better looking movie.
Yeah, I would probably agree on that. What about the Junk Canoe Festival, the kind of Mardi Gras like festival they
That
had?
that is my problem with the film. That is when the cut to that is just super loud and obnoxious. Like it gets you go from like a regular scene to this extremely loud festival, and it is super jarring and super irritating, and one of the most striking parts of the film that I did not enjoy. Like for the most part, the film's been enjoyable up until I get to this point, and I'm just like, man, I don't need this.
Yeah.
And I will say that there's a guy in a Superman costume, and you see him like every couple times they show. It's like they've got the same like shot on a loop from like four different angles
Yeah.
each time they show the parade.
I really like how they deal with Fiona Volpe here. Um, Bond is dancing with her, and he turns just right at the right moment to where she catches the bullet that was
I
meant for
was so
him.
heartbroken.
Um, like that to me, that is a crazy scene, but I really like it. Um,
Um, Real quick, I want to touch on. I guess I forgot this since the last time I watched it. I think this is the first movie we see Bond actually take a bullet.
Yeah,
yes,
he gets shot in the
exactly.
leg.
He
Gets
does get
shot in the
shot
ankle.
here.
Yep.
Hmm.
And they don't make anything out of it. It's like, well, he gets shot. Well, you
Well, it's
never
what.
hear it.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. Like
Yeah, me too.
this could be a whole nother discussion in itself, but like that's another thing that's not really explored in any Bond movie up until Skyfall.
Yep.
Uh, like it would be nice to well, it's not nice, but it's be cool to like see him get injured, like how we would expect a secret agent to get injured. But anyway.
So let me ask you this: what do you guys think about the climactic underwater battle? What do y'all
Dog
think about
shit. It is so bad. It's
It's gonna be a no for me, dog.
look, okay, did you
it?
I did
yeah,
not enjoy it.
did you guys notice that shot that they kept reusing of Bond? Just maybe not. It's just like a two or 3 second close up of Bond that they would show each time that they needed you to know that that was Bond
That
fixing
was
to
Bond. Yeah.
perform the action. But now I will say this: I'll give them credit. I'm really glad they got together beforehand and decided one side is going to wear red and one side is
Yes.
going to wear black. Otherwise, I would have had I'm still kind of lost as far as like the logistics, like where who's where and what's going on all the time. But that helped a little.
It was
Yeah.
like a scuba diving orgy. Like it was. I don't know, man. There's not much I can say about that's nice. I'm probably not gonna dwell on it all. Like it was unenjoyable for me. This is where I did not like the score. The one thing I think is cool is like the little underwater like the scuttling thing they use, like they're riding on it to carry the
Yes.
nukes. I thought that was cool. The whole harpooning each other to death thing is like I would be mad if I was like swimming and somebody was just harpooning me. Because what are you gonna do? Like
I will say this to the film's credit. The scene or the shots where you see those guys getting hit by harpoons, that those looked really good. And there's
yeah,
one shot in particular where a harpoon
somebody's arm.
goes through a guy's arm. That looked great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did.
They
I'll
did a
give it
good
that.
job with
I
that.
agree with you 100%, Caleb.
There are some shots in the battle that look really good. Uh oh, sorry. There are some shots that look really good. But and I'm sure the battle probably seemed like a good idea on paper, but it just I just don't think there's any way for a underwater battle to look good. With that being said, I do wish we could get some of those large scale battle sequences in newer Bond movies.
I totally agree, man. Like,
I, I think
yes.
I think those are really cool. Uh, aside from this one, but anyway, I've said my piece.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say my piece real quick. I feel like we have this because of Kevin McClory. It is what it is. I mean, I do think that there is another movie that deals with underwater scenes better. That movie's called The Spy Who Loved Me. Um,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah. Okay.
I just I mean, I guess I'm a little bit in the middle with it. It's all right. I mean, it's just something that we have to expect. And I do agree with you, Caleb. Never say never again. It, I guess, does kind of improve on this. We don't have to watch so many underwater sequences.
And we
They're
don't have
still
to
there,
listen to
but
the 007 theme on loop
you're right.
for 7 minutes. As
But
much as I like it,
and so what do you think about the way that the Bond villain is done away with, guys?
I think I like this better than Goldfinger getting sucked out of the airplane. But this whole scene is a mess.
Yes.
It's just it's all over the place, and it's just a mess, man. Okay, so you got the rear projection.
And there's the sped up footage too.
There's
Like
the
just
yes, there's also the sped up exterior footage of the boat, which looks terrible.
yes.
But the rear projection, how that looks is beside the point. They're running over land. They're running over like sandbars and rocks, and it's only acknowledged once. Like they hit a patch of rocks, and then you get a shot of them falling over. And the jump cuts are present here as well.
Yeah.
Um, I I don't know. I don't like it.
I don't much
I,
care for it either.
I like where Domino shoots Largo, and that's about it.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to I agree with you. And the ending when, well, first thing, that poor guy that really helped, Bond
Oh
threw him off.
yeah.
Like that poor bastard, like he probably did more than anybody did to
So
solve the
yeah, so throughout the whole movie, we get glimpses of him, and we're not really meant to think anything about him until the
Yeah,
very end, where he sort of saves Domino in a way, and then they're escaping the boat, and he's basically like, "What about me?" And
yeah,
he's like, I can't swim," and Bond's like, fuck you," and
that's
yeah.
it. Like, honestly, he's probably the
Oh,
hero of the whole movie.
yeah,
Like,
Colton, you're muted, by the way.
we having technical
Can you guys hear
difficulties,
me now?
Colton. Yeah, we can hear you.
Let's hear your
Okay.
thoughts real
I'm
quick.
sorry, guys.
That's fine.
I will say that I thought it was funny how Bond threw him off the boat and then they jumped off the boat. Uh, I think if they at the speed that boat was flying, like they would have broken limbs and hit the water for sure. Like that was a little ridiculous. But I do like the next part with the sky hook. I thought that was super cool for the time.
Yes,
Yeah.
that doesn't quite redeem it, but it was really cool. And was it you just now, Colton, that said that they would have definitely broken something falling
Oh
from the
yeah,
boat? If that's okay.
for sure.
I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to mention going all the way back to the beginning of the film, the Vulcan, is that the name of the
Yeah.
jet? The water landing
That would have ripped that jet apart.
that would have destroyed that jet.
Like it
That
might have even set the nukes off.
set the nukes. Yeah,
Yeah. Like,
I don't know, man. That
I
was
did like the underwater lights.
I guess, but for what purpose other
I,
than to destroy plot? Like,
you're not wrong.
no, I'm nitpicking. I mean, it's honestly the whole concept, like the villain's idea of stealing the nukes from the plane underwater. That's a really
Yeah,
cool idea.
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah,
So I don't know. It's just Thunderball is it's a mixed bag, and I guess I never realized it was such a mixed bag with me until I watched it right now. I do feel like this is the first one that we have been halfway negative about. We've been significantly negative about this movie than what we usually are. And Colton Flat, you are muted again, my boy.
I bet Colton's thinking, oh man, if this isn't the worst one, what is? uh,
But
Well, I will say for the most part, I did enjoy parts of this. Like I think they're good pieces. I feel bad for harping on it so bad, but I don't know. I maybe I'll harp on other ones worse later.
well, there's a few coming up that you could. But I mean, really, guys, Thunderball was one of the highest grossing Bond movies ever. I mean, this movie was designed to be Goldfinger 2.0, but I just don't think it lived up to it. I do think there is a movie in the future that did, and we will see that later on. But I mean, as much as I like Thunderball, I like Goldfinger better, honestly.
I've already
Yeah,
said that my final score is like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree.
Listen, I had a thought maybe midway through the movie where I was like, even though there is quite a bit to like about this movie, really, I think what I like so much about it is the potential. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah,
there are, yeah, you've got the bones of a really interesting story, but some of the execution just leaves
yeah,
something to be
leave something
desired.
to be desired. Yeah, like I mean, as much as I like Spectre and Blofeld and all this, I mean, there just is something that is missing, like, and I think
I
we're going to
feel that.
see Spectre and Blofeld. We're going to see that done better in movies that come later on, like
Sure.
specifically the one that comes after this, which I am so excited to watch. You Only Live Twice. Colton, have you seen that one?
I have seen that one and I do enjoy it. So I'm
I'm
looking forward to
so
it.
excited to watch that one, man. Like, and I'm so excited to hear you two talk about it. It's one of my favorites. Um, especially, I think it's one of. I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to shut up because I don't want to spoil too much of it. But I think it's one of the best Connery Bond movies. Just, I mean, it builds on the flamboyant, like fantastical Goldfinger Bond. I think. Like, but I'm gonna be quiet now because I don't want to. I
Well,
don't want to.
I don't want you to shut up just yet because now that I'm revisiting these, I'm sort of taking other things into consideration, such as like, so I know this is Terrence Young's sort of comeback
Yeah.
since From Russia with Love. So with knowing that, do you remember who directed You Only Live Twice?
So it's yeah, I do know who it is. It's
I can look it up real quick.
yeah, look it up. I know who it
Okay.
man because it's
So,
the same
fellas,
dude that directed
I'm gonna have to
Moonraker and the
go.
Spy Who Loved Me
So
too. You're
Yeah,
off.
I'm gonna have to go. It was.
I gotta go too. I'm way past my
I'm sorry, you guys.
that's
I
fine.
got you.
It's
Well, you're
just
pretty much at the end anyway.
it's just
Um,
it's so hard to stop.
It is. We could talk all night.
Lewis
so
Gilbert.
Lewis Gilbert. So anyway, we will see you all back next week
What?
for
Hold on, Colton. But you can leave. But this, I've got to say these two things. I noticed.
Yeah.
You can see Sean Connery's tattoo a lot.
Yes,
yep.
you
They
can
did a,
see it in the past two films also.
they did a poor job of covering it up. And another thing is the shark scenes. There was a very obvious pane of glass separating Sean Connery
Yep.
and the sharks.
Definitely.
Okay,
Definitely.
I'm done. That's all I
I'm
want
sorry,
to say.
Caleb.
No, you're
Well,
good.
well, we're gonna have a rather abrupt ending, but I think we've said all that we wanted to say about Thunderball. We will see you guys next week, and we will be going over You Only Live Twice. And
You only live twice.
and with that right there from our brilliant musician Colton Flatt, we're gonna leave you. I'm, of course, Jonathan Lonham. For Your Eyes Only, you can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and a whole bunch of audio apps too: Audible, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. Sub and like our stuff, share it, get it out there.
Leave us a review.
Yeah. Colton, go ahead and tell us where you can find you.
I'm Colton Flat on Facebook. I'm Amaranger4x4 on Twitter. And Mr. Caleb Mabry.
Yep, Caleb Mabry. You pronounced my name correctly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
AKA Break Shop Billiards on YouTube. I recently just started uploading again. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of neglected that YouTube channel for a while because I forgot about it. So even though I have like 13,000 subscribers on there somehow,
Shit, son.
yeah,
That's a lot, buddy.
I don't know how that happened. I paid for them.
Oh,
I'm kidding. No,
congratulations.
I didn't. Seriously, no. But yeah. So if you want to check out my YouTube channel, you can search that or just search my name in YouTube's search engine, and you will find me.
Well, all right, guys, if that's all, I hope y'all have a good one, and I will see you next week for You Only Live Twice. See you then.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for joining us on For Your Ears Only, Episode 4, Thunderball.